Tony Hody Training and Consulting presents the Crash Course Podcast. Sponsored by Engage, Builder Prime, and Hiring Strategies. Your weekly destination for coaching, inspiration, and new skills to help you maximize your income and success in the home improvement sales industry. Here are your hosts, sales and training experts, Phil Wiley and TJ Parsons.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Crash Course Podcast. My name is TJ Parsons, joined once again by Phil Wiley, and today we are talking about one simple technique that you can use to close more deals. And being an elite salesperson ultimately is as simple as being prepared. If you are prepared for every objection, for every question, for every reason that someone could give you as to why they don't want to purchase today, you will have more success than anyone else. The best comparison that we like to make is using elite quarterbacks in the NFL. What makes Tom Brady and Peyton Manning the best quarterbacks of all time? It wasn't their physical gifts, it was their preparation. It's their ability to get up to the line of scrimmage, evaluate the defense, and change the play. Not just the overall play, but using signals to hot route each individual pass catcher on his offense to make sure that the best version of that play is executed based off the defense that they see. Selling in our industry is exactly the same way. You need to be able to walk into a house prepared for any defense that your customer can give you. The advantage that you have in sales compared to an NFL quarterback is that when you play football, there are thousands upon thousands of different defenses and different disguises, different coverages that you could be playing against at any moment. In sales, there's really only a few select objections that someone can have, and the root of most of them is money. So what you have to do is be prepared for all objections. We need a plan to attack those defenses before, during, and after the presentation. And once you've mastered those, once you have a play that you can run at every possible defense, you will become elite at what you do. And today we're going to open up our playbook. So Phil, how are you today? And do you mind introducing today's topic?
I am great, TJ. Thanks for asking. You hit it right on the head when you talked about, techniques that improve our closing rates, techniques that improve our income. And one of the things that you and I love to talk to people about is the psychology of selling. And a lot of times, it's the ripple effect of, throwing the rock out into the water and seeing all the ripples. Sometimes just one simple thing can have such a major impact on a business's profitability, a business's growth, the growth of the employees, the income of the employees. And something simple as getting into a few more demos a year than we normally would, or getting a couple extra sales, and the impact that has on the business. If you actually sit down and think about it for a minute, it's mind-blowing. If your marketers work off of they get paid when they get demos process, think about how much more money a marketer is going to make if we're getting into more presentations and they're getting paid or bonused more often because of that. Now, all of a sudden, that person's happy. They're making the type of income they need to make. They stick around. We've got less turnover, more of a focus on creating more leads. So as salespeople, we win because the marketing teams are focused on how do we get better at what we do versus how do we replace everybody that we just lost, right? And as salespeople, we do the same, because as we get ourselves into more presentations and we get an extra deal here and there, we obviously also improve our income. We improve our confidence. The sales team does better. The company does better. We got nicer bonuses. We got better contests. We got more money to put toward the bottom line to do other things. So anytime we talk about a technique that's going to improve your demo rate or improve your close rate, think about the ripple effect that has on the entire business. Think about how there's so many home improvement companies out there, maybe not so much today as it used to be, but you used to have installers going to bed at night wondering if they were even going to have a job to install the next day. Well, think about being in a situation now to where your installers never worry about that. Now they're worried about, am I ever going to be able to get a day off because we've got so much work to do? So the ripple effect of us being better at what we do, you have no idea how many people get touched by it. So what we wanted to focus on today is not every salesperson's favorite thing to do. And we're going to talk about why it isn't. And not every home improvement company has a process for third-party calls. Not every sales rep loves doing third-party calls. Not every sales manager likes taking third-party calls. But when they are done the right way, where it is part of your training process, it's scripted, it's part of your methodology, it's role-played, and everybody knows what they're doing, a third-party call can have a major impact on your business. So, a very simple question, TJ. Why doesn't anybody like to do third-party calls? Why don't you talk about the first reason? Why do salespeople hate or dislike third-party calls?
I think there's a handful of reasons here. I think the first is the most important thing is that anytime they've ever attempted one, it probably hasn't gone very well because they weren't prepared for it. Their manager wasn't prepared for it. And it kind of all fell apart. And maybe they kind of got embarrassed in front of the homeowner. That's probably the most prevalent reason. I think they also, no one likes to feel like they're being babysat or that they're not trusted to come up with their own solutions to close the sale. And, that's on management for making the sales rep feel that way. That's not the intention of a third party call. It's not live on the spot babysitting. That's not what it is. But if they feel that way, of course, that's going to affect things greatly. And they just don't want to look, in front of the homeowner that they've spent a couple hours with, creating this aura of, they're the expert, they're the go-to person. I think some people don't like ceding some of that leverage, ceding some of that importance, like that they don't have all the answers. They want to be the person that knows every single thing, and they don't need a manager's help to help them. So I think those are the main reasons why a sales rep might not love the concept.
Yeah, and again, anytime that we don't script things out and we don't practice them and we don't role play them, we don't do it right. And you're hit it right on the head. Salespeople have had bad experiences doing third-party calls. They don't work. They don't work if they're not done correctly. And sales reps start to feel embarrassed. They start to feel uncomfortable. They feel like they're being put in between them and their customer. They feel, like you said, they feel belittled. And sales managers don't like third-party calls either.
No, they
feel
don't.
like it's a waste of their time. Or they feel like they don't have time to take third-party calls. And, our sales reps aren't trained on how to do them. So, and I don't, and I don't want to be available to take third-party calls. I don't want you to, now you're starting to invade my personal time by doing it, me having to take a third-party call. So third-party calls are not everybody's favorite. And then, of course, we have the homeowner. TJ, why don't homeowners like third-party calls?
Well, I think sometimes if it's not done properly, again, I want to stress that if it's not done properly, the customer could feel like maybe they're being bullied, or maybe that it's like the old car salesman process of, well, let me go talk to my manager. And they just, walk to the bathroom, wash their hands, and come back and say, oh, here's the deal I came up with. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think sometimes the customer has the opinion of you shouldn't have to call your manager to get this deal closed. So it could be a combination of all those.
Yeah. So again, my advice to you listening to this podcast, if your company does do third-party calls, let's learn how to turn it into a positive, and let's turn it into, like TJ said, remember Peyton Manning at the offensive line screaming Omaha, Omaha, and the players looking up wondering what the new call is going to be. Let's learn to turn third-party calls into changing the play, changing the direction of where we're headed, and using a third-party call as a way to get help and working together. Nobody said that selling had to be an individual sport.
Right.
The reason that I think our team was so successful for 20 some years is we were a team. We worked together. We never felt like this is all just about me. It's about the team being successful. And me and the sales managers that worked with me, nothing made us feel better than when a sales rep got a sale. And you think about the hours you spent training them and the hours you spent on the phone with them on the way home from a lead, or talking to them about a pitch miss, or encouraging them after they've had a couple bad leads in a row that they didn't sell. And you think about all that effort and all that attention and all that investment that you make in your salespeople, and then they get that sale, and that you can't replace it. It's a high that that there's no drug out there is ever going to be able to make you feel as good as when you help a sales rep get a deal after all that effort and all that attention. So, that's why it's important. If you don't have a system, talk about it, encourage each other to use it, because third-party calls will become a big tool in your toolbox.
And the biggest metric that backs up everything you just said was our ride-along close rates.
Oh,
I mean, our ride-along close rates were probably 10 to 15% higher than our standard solo close rate. So that just shows you the power of teamwork and how much impact it can make on your business.
Yeah, I remember for a long stretch of time there, sales managers, whenever they would go out with their sales reps, we would close 60 to 70% of those leads. And of course, the sales reps always said, well, I would have sold it if they weren't there. But some of them probably were right, but there's just something about working together as a group and working together as a team. We just get better at what we do. You remember what I used to put on the board all the time: 1 + 1 = 3, right?
Oh yeah, I love that.
That's
a whole podcast. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Whole podcast, but when you work together with somebody, you get the results of 3 people, and that's why it's so important to stay focused. So now we know why people don't like to do third-party calls, and hopefully we've persuaded you a little bit of how it makes sense to do them. Let's talk about when we should do a third-party call. When should they take place? So what's the first one, TJ?
Yeah, we've come up with 4 unique applications of a third-party call. So the first one is when the rep is having trouble getting into a presentation, or they're being time closed by their customer.
I love that. And we're going to do a couple examples here in a minute of a good third-party call and a bad third-party call. But I remember when I was new in the business, it was a Saturday morning, and I got a sunroom lead, and I went to this customer's house, knocked on the door. There was no answer. I walked in the backyard just to see if maybe they were out working in the yard. Sure enough, they were sitting on their back patio. And they said, yeah, we just thought we'd meet out here. This is where we're thinking about putting a sunroom. It's a nice morning. And I remember that they told me right when we first got started, we only have about an hour because we have a wedding that we need to go to. And I said, no problem. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. which was the same version all the time. But I got into my presentation, ignored it. Next thing I know, we're filling out paperwork, and the wife looks at the husband and says, "Oh my God, we missed the wedding." And of course, I felt horrible. And he goes, "Well, I didn't really want to go anyway." And she said, "Well, I didn't really want to go either, but we should at least stop by the reception." And he goes, "Yeah, that's really the only thing I wanted to do." So, when we get to the door and we hear things like, "We're going to have to leave," or "I told him on the phone that we're really not planning on doing this for a while," or "The only reason I had you come out is because they won't quit calling." We just need to ignore that. Our focus should be on, solving their problems, showing them the problems they have. But sometimes it might take a third party call to get a little bit of help getting into that house or getting into that presentation. Or sometimes it may take a third party call to get you another 15 minutes, or "We're almost done. I promise. We're almost wrapped up." But, you got to remember, and we had a sales rep we worked with named Kelvin. And Kelvin, we were doing a meeting one time, and it was about your demo rates. And Kelvin had a lifetime, over 15 years, a lifetime demo rate of 98%, which was sick. And I'm like, "How do you have such a high demo rate?" And he said, whenever they were trying to discourage me from giving a presentation, I realized they probably do that to every salesperson that ever comes out, right? And there's different reasons why. They're afraid they're going to buy, or maybe they've had a bad experience, whatever it is. And I realized if I could just get into my presentation, I probably have gotten further than anybody else ever has. And the likelihood of me selling is great. So he just ignored it and just plowed through and worked through and bought 15, 20 minutes at a time. And that's why his demo rates and close rates were so high. What's another reason why we should make that third party call?
Next is when the salesperson has a commitment from the customer to earn their business, which requires a price or payment reduction or another commitment not involving money.
Yeah, that's a great one, because, we're both big fans of making sure that even when we know we can say yes to what we're being asked, it's always better to do the third party call so that we don't lose credibility. Just think about this for a second. You're sitting at the table, TJ. Let's say you're at 15,000, and the customer says, "If you could get this down to 14.5, we would do it." And you can get there. You got a little bit extra in there. You can handle that. But if you just say yes without making the homeowner earn that $500, now the homeowner is going to start to question, "I wonder how much of a discount I really could have got. I could have asked for more. I should have asked for more." And now all of a sudden you start to lose credibility when it comes to the price. The other reason why this is so important is we want the homeowner to see that we are going to bat for them, that we are willing to, basically do what we have to do to earn their business. Now, I know you've probably heard me tell this story before, TJ, and I remember when I was a new sales rep, and you got to remember, I came into this business so green, so scared. The first time I ran a lead, I knocked on the door so soft that they probably couldn't hear me. And I got one-legged on my first appointment, and I was so happy because I was so scared. When I got into this business, I was petrified, and I listened to every single thing I was told to do, and I followed it. And I remember we practiced third-party calls and training, and I called my boss for the first time with a commitment. And he yelled at me on the phone. And he said, "Why in the world would you call me and ask me to give you another $500 off? Are these people friends of yours? Are you related to them? You know we can't do that. I was scared to death. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I misunderstood what we practiced in trading. My bad. I'm so sorry. And he's like, well, you've put us in a corner now, so you might as well do it. And I'm like, oh. And he goes, call me when you get out of the house. And of course, this was before we had cell phones, right? So I get off the phone, my hand's shaking while I'm filling out paperwork, and the homeowner's even like, hey, just leave the price alone. We don't want you to get in trouble. And I'm like, no, it'll be okay. And I remember getting out of the house, and I drove to a payphone, and I'm dreading the phone call, and he answers the phone, and I'm like, hello. And he goes, are you out of the house? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, way to go. Awesome job. You did that perfectly. And I'm like, you butthole. Why did you make me feel that way? And of course, we don't want, that's not the point of this, is we don't want this to be part of your training, is to scare your salespeople half to death.
Yeah, that method's not going to fly to them.
No. But when the customer realizes that you're going to bat for them and you're trying to get them something that you normally don't do, and the whole point of that whole story is whatever your discounts are, that's it. And that's how you have to run your business. I'm allowed to give this discount. That's it. Anything above this requires a higher authority's approval, and you'll never lose credibility when you're in the house.
It's all about that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all about that theory of reciprocation.
Yeah.
Right. If you do something for them, they want to do something for you in return.
Right. What's another big reason why we recommend third-party calls?
Another great time to use it is when you have an underperforming rep who is missing and looking for help and feedback.
So important. Sales managers, if you're listening to this, it is imperative. If you're not riding along with your sales reps, if you're not out with your underperformers, if you're not using tools like Rilla or other tools to hear what's being said, when somebody is underperforming, you've got to have a third-party call with them and try to do everything you can to learn why they're missing, to try to help turn it around. I mean, what did we talk about last week, TJ? On average, it's over $30,000 for every bad hire. I mean, even if it's not a bad hire, how many times did we see sales reps come out of the gates and do great for 90 days and then they hit a wall? Right?
So many times.
And then we got to get out with them and we got to get them fixed, get them back on track. You know, you've got sales reps that are underperforming. Think about how much time, energy, and money you have put into developing that sales rep. Think about how expensive that lead costs that they're on. Think about how much revenue is being lost by you giving a lead to an underperformer versus a top performer. You owe it to yourself, your company, and that sales rep to take third-party calls, help them get deals, listen for things that you can help train the sales rep on. There's too much money involved and too much profitability involved to just hand out leads left and right to underperformers, and then just let them go through leads like water with no talk, no feedback, no in it together. Get out with them on ride-alongs. Use tools, use third-party calls, but save your underperformers instead of starting all over with somebody you've never met. And then the last reason, which is our favorite reason for a third-party call, is what?
When buttoning up the sale.
Oh, yes. Buttoning up the sale, man. That's the greatest close or the greatest third-party call of all, is when a sales rep calls and says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson is having their windows put in. I thought you might want to say thank you or welcome them to the family. I mean, that's the greatest call in the world. It makes the customer feel good. It makes you feel good. You know, we get to pat you on the back. The customer gets to brag about you a little bit. We get to have fun with the homeowner. But most importantly, we get to listen for anything that we might hear that makes us feel like we still got a little bit of work to do before we leave. Because again, every sale you write, we want it to go good, right?
And here coming up shortly, we're going to be doing a couple examples of some of these calls so you can hear what they sound like, hear how they're supposed to be executed. And then we also have full written out scripts for all of these different methods. If you would like a copy of those scripts, they're totally free. All you got to do is email us at phil@tonyhoodie.com, and we'd be happy to send you that so you can use them and earn some more business that way. So we'll move next into what the rules of the third-party call are.
There's different rules, but the first rule is always do your third-party call in front of the homeowner. I can't tell you how many times a sales rep would call me and they're explaining the situation to me, and I'm having a conversation with them, and we're going back and forth, and then all of a sudden I hear I hear ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, are you out in your car? Yeah. I mean, what good is a third party call with you out in your car? I mean, craziness. Make your third party call in front of the homeowner so that the homeowner can hear about what we're talking about. I might, as a sales manager, want to get on the phone with the homeowner. I might want to just ask you questions, but always do it in front of the homeowner.
And the second rule that we want to follow is making sure that when you as the sales rep make that call to your manager, you want to fool the manager, for a lack of a better term. You want to make them think that you are selling, not that you're missing and you're calling out of desperation. You want them to feel like you're this close and you just need some help to push them over the edge.
Yeah, we're back to the psychology thing again. But I can't handle when sales reps call you from a third party call and they sound like they're at a funeral home and everybody's sad, and it's, hi, Mr. Wiley, I'm here with so-and-so, and I gave them the drop and they weren't going for it, and they want to think about it, and I'm just getting ready to leave. Ugh, yuck, yuck. When you make that third party call, and we're going to role play this in a minute, I want you to pay attention to how, well, TJ, you know what? Let's take a break from the rules for a minute, and let's go ahead and role play the proper way to do a third party call when you're not selling. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be the sales rep in this situation. All right.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to call you up on my phone and you take it from there.
Sounds good. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Phil Wiley. Am I catching you at a good time?
Yeah, I've got a couple minutes. Okay.
Well, I'm here with Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We're out here in Dayton, Ohio, and they've got a beautiful home. It's in a really nice neighborhood. And they have original metal windows. They're like 60 years old. Their energy bills are ridiculous. They're paying almost $400 in the winter, over $300 in the summer. They've got windows that can't even open and close anymore. They've got mold and mildew growing on the windows, some of them in their kids' rooms. They've got a window in the back that's actually broken and it's got duct tape over it. I mean, these windows are horrible. In fact, I want to just take pictures of all these windows so that we can show people how bad metal windows eventually get. And they love everything about Rhino Home Remodeling, and they love everything about our product. I showed them the price. It was a lot less than they thought it was going to be. And I showed them the monthly investment. They're all about it. They feel they can easily afford it. They said they'd probably even pay a little bit extra so they can pay it off a little earlier. And I was just calling to let you know that I'm getting ready to leave. They want a couple days to think about it. So they want me to call them back on Monday, and they would let me know for sure whether they were going to move forward with the project or not. Now, that's the right way to do an I am missing call, because three things are happening right now. The customer's sitting there at first and they're going, did he not hear me say we're not doing it now? It sounds like he's about ready to tell his manager that we need to get scheduled for an install. And then they start to question themselves like, man, should we be saying no? Everything he's telling his boss makes sense. It also opens me as the salesperson up to where I'm asking for help now. I'm open to my manager's help, and the manager is motivated as well to help me get a deal, because he thought he was just taking a button-up call, and instead he found out that I'm missing and that I'm close, and now he wants my help at reeling in the deal. So that's the right way to do that call, is to make sure that every single time you do it, you want to fool your sales manager. You want your sales manager to think you're selling, not missing.
All right. The third rule is for a sales rep, when you're on the phone with your sales manager, that you never want to say or reply with, I've already tried that, when they make you an offer for a solution.
Why do salespeople do that, TJ? Why do they say that?
Because they want to kind of assert their knowledge and kind of show like, oh, I'm one step ahead of you already.
Yep. And they also don't want to turn right around and ask the homeowner something that maybe they really have asked them before. But the last thing you ever want to say to your manager is, I've already tried that. And here's the reason why. You'll be surprised at how many times the homeowner will go a different direction when they no longer feel like they're being pressured into making a decision. So when you were asking them to buy and you were sitting at the table with maybe the pen in your hand or whatever your process is, and the homeowner felt like they were being closed, you ask a question and it's nope, we just need time to think about it. So your manager might say to you on the phone, TJ, ask him if we could get the payment closer to $200 a month, would they do it? And the homeowner might say, well, how close to 200? And of course, you're like, I just asked you that 5 minutes ago, and you told me no. It's now because there's less pressure, and also the fact that you went to a higher authority and you have asked for help, and now the homeowner feels like you're trying to help them get a deal versus selling them something, right? When you do make that third-party call, I used to tell the guys all the time, look, when we're around the office, you can call me whatever you want to call me, right? But when you're in a house on a third-party call me Mr. Wiley. Don't call me Phil or bro or Bubba or what's up, dude. Call me Mr. Wiley. It should be a professional phone call with a higher authority, and you want to show respect to not only your homeowner, but to the person you're calling on the phone.
Perfect. And number 4 is kind of a big one, but it's to always answer a question in a way that the homeowner knows what question was asked. So for example, if you are on the phone and you're not on speaker, you want to reply back to your manager in a way that the customer can understand the question that was originally asked, as if they were kind of participating in that phone call already.
Yep. So let's give them an example of what we're talking about, TJ. So you be the sales rep this time. I'll be the sales manager. And I want you to call me on the phone and say, hey, we are at 14.5, and I have a commitment from the homeowner, if we can get him down to 14 even, because he loves round numbers, that he would go ahead and do it today. And we'll show him the wrong way, and then we'll show him the right way. Does that sound good?
Sure.
So, hello.
Hey, Mr. Wiley, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, TJ?
I'm doing great. I'm here with John and Mary Jones, and we're going over a bathroom project. We're down here in Dayton, Ohio, in this gorgeous neighborhood. Their house is amazing, but their bathrooms are definitely original. They've got some mold. They have some issues with their caulking. They've got some staining on the bathtub. They really want to get their tubs replaced. So I'm trying to do what I can to help them out. So we are currently at $14,500 with all the discounts that are applied. And John told me that if we were somehow able to get the price down to 14, he'd be willing to move forward today. It's just something about round numbers that John likes. So I was curious if you could help us out with that.
Well, let me ask you a question, TJ. Do they live in a busy neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Do they go to church in the area? Do they go to a big church?
No.
Do they work at maybe one of the bigger businesses in town?
No.
Okay. So what's
That's
wrong with what's wrong with the way that TJ just did that call? What's wrong is the homeowner has absolutely no idea what I'm asking TJ. Now we're going to do it the right way and watch how this works. So let me ask you a question, TJ. Do they live in a busy neighborhood?
Yeah, their neighborhood is pretty busy. They live actually right off a main road, so there's a lot of traffic out here.
Oh, okay. And you said they live right off a main road. So there's traffic coming both ways.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's very busy.
And I'm sure you guys talked about our marketing program earlier. Are they okay with us putting a job sign in the yard for 30 days?
Yes, we did discuss that marketing program. They are okay with putting the job sign in the yard for 30 days.
Okay, ask them a question for me. If I can get this approved for them, would they be okay if instead of 30 days, we leave the job sign out there for 60 days?
Yeah, 1 minute. I'll ask. Hey, John, when the time comes to do the work, would you be willing to have this job sign in your yard for 60 days instead of 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, John said he would.
All righty. And I'm sure they agreed to do like an online review. Would they be willing to do 2 online reviews for us?
Let me ask him. Hey, John, would you be willing to do a second online review as well? Yes. He said he would.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do this for you, but I do want an extra 30 days with the sign. I do need an extra referral or an extra review, but I'm also going to need something from you.
Okay. What do you need from me?
You said it's a busy area, correct?
Yes, sir. It's a very busy area.
Okay. Once the job's installed, I want you to stop by personally to help them with their reviews and get some after pictures, and then knock on a couple neighbors' doors while you're there and see if we can't show them the bathroom and maybe get ourselves into another appointment. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I'd be willing to stop over and help them take care of the reviews and maybe see if the neighbors need any help. Absolutely. I'd do that for them.
All right. Well, you have my approval. Just put, I approved an additional $500 off for additional marketing assistance, and call me back when you're done so that I can welcome them to our family.
Yes, sir. Will do.
That's awesome. That's great. Great third-party call, TJ. So that's an example of doing it the right way. And the homeowner, you're not losing credibility. You want the homeowner to feel like, man, I should have asked for more off. This guy's making me work. You know, I hope they're going to pay you a bonus to come back and knock on doors. Man, this guy's tough. Now the homeowner's not doubting the price at all. But if it's just simply you saying, sure, I'll get it down to 4, I can get it down to 14. Yeah. Price all of a sudden is just, you've lost all credibility. If your manager's like, yeah, you can do that, go ahead. Well, man, we should have asked for more money. Again, every single penny you take off, the homeowner should be earning it. And that way you don't ever lose credibility.
Absolutely. And the last rule is very simple, that you just have to get a commitment before you make the call, whether that be a written commitment, a verbal commitment, a handshake. You have to have an agreement in place before you make the call to validate the entire process.
Yeah. TJ, you ever type an email or a text and you leave one word out and it completely changes the entire meaning of the email or the text?
Oh yeah, I think we've all done that at least once.
So let's say we're back to this customer again with the 14,000. And I look at TJ, let's say he's the homeowner, and I say, all right, Mr. Parsons, so if I could get this down to $14,000, have we earned your business?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure there's a lot of you listening right now that said, yeah, that sounded perfect. No, because I asked the question the wrong way. Because I make the phone call, my manager says yes, and I say, congratulations, Mr. Parsons. We got it down to 14,000. And guess what he says?
I didn't mean tonight.
Right. We're not doing anything today, but when we do it, we'll do it for 14. So leaving the word out today completely changes everything. So the right way to do it is, let me ask you a question, Mr. Parsons. I'm going to call my manager and I'm going to ask him for a favor. But if I can get this down to $14,000, have I earned your business today?
Yes.
So if my boss says yes, we're going to get all your paperwork done and we're going to get you on the schedule before I leave today.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let me see what I can do. And I recommend that if you're on paper still, that you get a written agreement, an initial or a verbal, a handshake, a high five, but you want to make sure that you get a strong commitment from the homeowner before you make that third party call.
Excellent.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick, TJ, is, what to do after the call. Because especially if you have a commitment from the homeowner. So let's go back to the same customer. I'm at 14.5. At 14, they do it. I make the third party call. I get permission to go down to 14,000. Show me what you're going to do next when you get off the phone.
All right. So I'm hanging up the phone and saying, all right, guys, I got good news. He said that if you're willing to help us with all those things we discussed, keeping the yard, signing the yard for 30 days longer and giving us an additional review, and if I would help him with a couple things, stopping back over to help you with the reviews when the job is done and doing a little marketing around the neighborhood during the install. If you can do that and I can do that, then he's willing to do that for both of us. So welcome to Rhino Remodeling.
Yep.
And I'm just assuming the sale.
You have to assume the sale. Because if you do this, you totally undid everything that you had a commitment. Now do it the wrong way, TJ.
All right, we got it. You ready to get this project started? Ready to do the contract?
I don't know. I'm starting to feel a little nervous about it. And so if you ask them, what do you think? Or are you ready? Or are we good to go now? You gave them permission to say what?
No.
So you had a commitment. You got a handshake. You got a verbal. You got a written. You fulfilled their commitment. Assume the sale. Go to work, because we've talked a couple times about how our confidence that we show is it gets transferred to the homeowner. A lack of confidence gets transferred. So if we're asking the homeowner, what do you think? That means maybe we're still trying to figure out if it makes sense for them to do the work or not. They gave you a commitment. You fulfilled the commitment. Assume the sale. And so what's another example of a third party call that we can run through with everybody before we go, TJ?
I think the ones we have left here, we can start with when a sales rep is having trouble getting into a presentation.
Okay.
How about I'll be the manager and you can be the sales rep in that situation?
Okay. And real quick, I want to tee this up. Get to the point. Okay. Because the customer is going to be very frustrated. All right. Don't ask for permission to make a third party call. Just get your phone out and dial it. All right. But they're going to be agitated. They're trying to get out of you doing your presentation. You're trying to get in. So get to the point and don't waste time. So let's role play this real quick. So, Mr. Parsons,
Yes, sir.
it's Phil Wiley. I'm at my 6:00 appointment with the Jones family in Dayton.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Well, I just got here and they're telling me that they have to be at church at 7:30 and they need to leave here at 7, and they've only got an hour, and they're wanting me to see if I can reschedule for another night. I told them that usually it takes me about an hour and a half to get through everything, and they want to schedule for another time, and I just wanted to call and let you know.
Okay, Mr. Wiley. Well, why don't you just try to give him the Reader's Digest version of the presentation, and hopefully you'll be able to get finished by the time he has to leave.
Okay. My manager said that I can give you the Reader's Digest version, which means I can kind of get through this real quick in an hour, and anything that we don't get through when I come back, I can finish up then. Okay, they're okay with that, Mr. Parsons.
All right, great.
All right, now those of you listening at home, for an extra 5,000 points, what else did I do wrong on that third-party call? Did anybody catch it? Did anybody catch it? Right from the beginning, I'm not even in the house really yet, and they said they had an hour, and I said, well, that's not going to be enough. I need 90 minutes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many appointments are we going to get into, folks, if we tell homeowners we're going to be there an hour and a half to 2 hours? How many leads do you think we're going to run in a week? I mean, there's a lot of you sitting here listening right now going, man, I wish all my customers thought I was only going to be there an hour, right? I mean, I don't need to be telling the homeowner that's not enough time. If the homeowner says you've got an hour, that's all I need, right? I'll buy my extra time.
An hour is realistic. What happens when the customer says, I got 15 minutes?
Yeah. Well, at that point, I got to figure out, first of all, the reason I'm going to do my third-party call is we need to work together to figure out how this got missed.
Yep.
Because I know that my call center did not say I could get all this done in 15 minutes. And I know that they didn't send me out on an appointment where you told the homeowner that I was only going to need 15 minutes. So I need to figure out, how did this fall through the cracks? And if it's not something that fell through the cracks, I need the customer to be like, yeah, I never told him that. And then it's up to me now to say, you know what? I'm just giving you a proposal that's good for a year. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no obligation to buy today. So just let me get through a couple things, and I'll be fun, and I'll be interesting and entertaining. And if I'm not giving you valuable information, just let me know and I'll get out of your hair.
There you go. Another big one would be when buttoning up the sale.
So I try every single podcast to give everybody a little gold nugget. And this is the gold nugget for this week. And that's the welcome call. And we're going to do a welcome call. And TJ is going to play two characters. He's going to play himself, the sales rep, and then he's going to be the homeowner. All right.
Sounds good.
So ring, ring, ring. Hello, this is Mr. Wiley.
Hey, Mr. Wiley, it's TJ. I'm here with John and Mary Jones. We just got them all taken care of for a whole house full of new windows.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had 17 wide inside, wide outside. They're really excited. The old windows were in pretty rough shape. They were all metal, lots of leaks, tons of draft. So they're really looking forward to having us come in and help.
Okay, and how did they hear about us?
They actually saw us at the fair.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, would it be okay if I spoke with one of them?
Sure. Here, I'll put you on speakerphone.
Okay, great. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. How are you this evening?
We're good. How are you?
Good. My name's Phil Wiley. I'm the director of sales for Rhino Home Remodeling, and I just wanted to take a second and first of all, thank you for trusting us with your business. And I wanted to welcome you to our family and just tell you that we're going to do a fantastic job for you.
Well, thank you. We're really looking forward to it.
Yep, and you're working with my best. TJ's one of our best designers, so you couldn't have a better person out to work with you. He cares a lot about his homeowners. He makes sure that everything that he promised you today, he follows up on it to make sure that it happens. And you guys will be very happy, and I'm sure you'll want to give us tons of 5-star reviews once the job is done, because TJ will hold everybody accountable to earning that 5-star review.
Oh, great. Yeah, we'll definitely do that for you when the job's done.
Great. Now, did you love everything about our company?
Oh, yeah,
You love everything about the window?
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, do me a favor. As you can imagine, I keep TJ really busy. When we get off the phone, will you ask him to write my number down for you? And if you ever have a question or you ever need anything, feel free to if you can't get hold of TJ, to call me. And between the two of us, we'll make sure your questions get answered. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I think that should do it.
Okay. Now, just out of curiosity, how long did TJ tell you it was going to take before we could get the project started?
He said it was going to be about 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. If I could speed that up a little bit and maybe get out there a couple weeks sooner, would you want me to be able to do that for you?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, what I can do for you is, while I've got you on the phone right now, I can go ahead and get your measure scheduled and get our measure tech out to see you within the next couple days. And that'll speed everything up by at least a week or two. So if you're 100% sure on the colors and the styles you picked out, and you're 100% sure on the decision you made today, I can go ahead and get that measure scheduled and we'll get things sped up for you.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. Well, I'll take care of that real quick. Let me check some dates and I'll go over those with TJ and he can let me know what works best for you. And again, thanks for your time and your patience, and welcome to our family.
Sounds good.
All right. May I speak to TJ real quick?
Absolutely.
All right, TJ, I've got a couple days available. I've got a Friday at 10 o'clock and I've got Monday at 4 o'clock. Which of those would work best for them for a remeasure?
And then I'd go over those with the homeowner. We'll come back and say, let's say Monday at 4 o'clock sounds good.
Okay, I've got them scheduled for Monday at 4 o'clock. I just need to make sure that somebody that's on the title of the house is present, because we are going to be testing for lead paint while we're there. And I'll need somebody to sign off on that document before we leave, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, well, I want you to drive carefully, TJ, and thanks for the call, and you have a good evening.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Now, all of my sales reps always knew when I said drive carefully, what did that mean?
Drive carefully means everything's good.
Yep. That means everything's good. Good job. I don't ever want to say good job. I might still be on speaker or they might be able to hear. And I don't want someone to hear me telling TJ, oh, great job. High five. We'll do that when he gets out.
Yep.
But drive carefully means okay. Everything's good to go. Nice job. Talk to you soon. Now, if I heard something in TJ's voice, and we'll do this real quick, we won't go through the whole call again, but we'll just do a couple specific parts. Now I know what to address with the sales rep when I get back on the phone with the sales rep. So let's go back to it for a minute. I've got you guys on speaker. Now, one of the things I forgot to ask TJ, are you guys paying cash for this project or are you financing the project?
We're financing. We've got a $200 a month payment.
Okay. And how long is that loan for?
About 5 years.
Okay. Well, as you know, there's no prepayment penalty. So if you pay a little bit extra here and there, you'll just pay the loan off quicker without any penalty. All right. And
Yep.
Are you guys comfortable with the $200 a month?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think we can make it work.
Okay. All right. And now I know when I get back on the phone with TJ hey, Tej, you need to do a budget with these folks, and you need to show them that 200's affordable because they're still a little uncomfortable with that, right? Another example of where there might be some issues is when I say, let me ask you a question, TJ, or let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. If I could speed this up by a week or two, would you want me to do that for you?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, let me speak to Mr. Parsons before he goes. And so again, the two most exciting moments in a homeowner's life when it comes to replacing their windows is right now when they're buying them. They're very excited about it. And the day that we install the work, they're very excited about it. So if a homeowner is not interested in me speeding things up by a couple weeks, there's a problem, there's an issue, and we need to figure out what it is. All right. Well, awesome stuff. So I know you're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. And I also know that you have a special announcement for everybody, right?
Yes. So, of course, we do want to thank our sponsors, Engage, Builder Prime, and Hiring Strategies. Wonderful companies. We thank them for helping us out. But our big announcement is we have a special for our first webinar. So, again, this is Friday, October 18th is our first webinar titled Championship Level Closing. We'll put the ad on the screen so you can see it here. And this is going to be, as we mentioned last week, some of the best content that we ever produce, the things that have made us champions of this industry. We're going to reveal all of those in this webinar. And our big announcement as far as pricing goes here is for a low price of only $299, you can get access for you and your entire team. So huge discount off of what we would normally charge for a product like this, but we want to do something special as kind of our early access discount. So if you would like to get in on that, if you'd like to get tickets, you can email phil@tonyhody.com, and we'll get you involved, and you get a special early access discount for you and your entire sales team.
That is awesome. Yeah, we feel that the information that we are going to cover with you in this first webinar is so valuable and so important at growing your business and being a better closer that we don't want anybody to miss out on it. So, you're talking about a discount of $500-$600, and it's because we want to make sure that every single spot gets full, and we want to make sure that everybody that wants to get better at selling, get better at closing, has the ability to watch and get your teams involved. We're going to have some sponsors involved, and they'll be talking about their products a little bit. So it's going to be an awesome webinar. It's going to be very valuable. It'll be worth the $299 times 1,000. So make sure you take advantage of the early bird special. Get in there, get signed up on it, and we're excited. You can't wait.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great time. But thank you all for joining us again. And Phil, go ahead and take us home.
All right, guys, go sell something. Have a big week.
And if you or your business is in need of training, recruiting, process development, or consulting, you can contact us here at Tony Hody Training and Consulting by visiting tonyhody.com. Click the contact tab and enter your information for a free consultation to see how we can help you grow your business. Tony Hody Training and Consulting, teaching ordinary people how to do extraordinary things.